That's right, you are listening to the Weekly Offensive with Dr. Hoyman and Mr. Crow here. We are, the Weekly Offensive, still powered by Shadows of Today. Pat, you there with me?
I am here. Banging new name.
Banging new name.
It's almost as if I thought of it myself.
You did while drinking a bottle of Whipped Pinnacle.
That is true. That is true. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a good friend of mine on. His name is Vic, and he is here to talk to us about vaping.
What is vaping?
Vaping is a liquid that goes into a mod being a e-cigarette of call or type. A coil heats up, turns the liquid into a vapor, which you inhale. You get your nicotine via your juice. Levels are 0 through 36. Be careful of people that say they'll give you 100. It'll probably kill you. That's pretty much it.
Right?
Interesting. Would you say this is a better alternative to smoking cigarettes the traditional way?
Very much so. They don't stink. That's number one. Right. Day 2 to 3, you'll be smelling other smokers. Day 5 to 6, you'll have some breathing capacity back. And probably start tasting food again. You will start smelling other smokers as if they're heavy smokers, like I was, as a dirty ashtray as they walk by.
Yeah,
it's got its pluses and minuses, but for the most part, it is a great alternative to smoking for the simple reason you're going to be healthier in 3 to 4 days. And as you go, I'm into 5 months now, almost 6. You're going to be able to breathe again, do things that you didn't do before because you smoked too much. Cheryl's a good example. I think you live on a hill or have a hill you have to climb.
That's right.
She'll tell you about her experience since she's been vaping. How much easier it is to climb that hill. That's just one great example. And just remember that the vaping is taking the place of the cigarette. Your craving isn't as bad. You've got something in your hand. When you want a cigarette or a puff, you just vape it.
Right, and I will say I just started today technically, and just off the few hits that I've taken, it's basically taken my craving away. So
it takes mine straight away. I've been vaping for about 2 months now, and I love it. I feel 100% better. I'm into it big time though. I got this awesome battery with some really good juice. It's amazing. What was it that got you into vaping, Vic?
Basically, my cable man. Evidently, he's been vaping for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years now. Well, I'm on 6 months, so it's got to be about 2 years. He evidently came in the door and smelled my smoke and told me how I stunk. But not in those words. But he immediately identified me as a smoker, showed me his device, told me about it, and this was on a Saturday, I believe. And I laughed at him. I said, I didn't laugh at him per se, but I was laughing to myself, thinking, "Oh yeah, like that's going to happen," you know. I think that was on a Saturday. He was here by the following Tuesday. I was in my local vape shop buying my first Vision battery with a cartomizer, which you had to pour the liquid into, physically absorb it into the cotton matting that was around the coil, which, as Pat knows, it was a pain in the butt to fill.
Yeah.
But I used that for over a month. And I said, I'm never going back to smoking. This is the answer. It's taken my craving away. It's. I already feel a tremendous amount better. It just so happened that I talked to my doctor in between there. I ran into him one day, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, I quit smoking, but I started vaping." He goes, "I don't care." He says, anything is an improvement over the cigarettes you had in your hand because of the factor of all the things you're getting other than the nicotine. He says, think of it like wearing a patch. And I quit for 12 years, and like a fool, it only takes one cigarette to start back. Of course, you're going to cough your head off, but he's right. You're only getting your nicotine and your flavoring. The other ingredients in there are either distilled water, PG juice, or VG juice. Both additives. One has flavor, one has the usually the nicotine, or vice versa. I'm a heavy VG user, which is a thicker juice. But that's another story for many more days ahead. Basically, your things like the formaldehyde, the other additives that are in cigarettes so they don't burn up so quickly, all that's gone. All your vaping is flavor and juice. Nicotine. So you're right off the bat 100% better than what you were. Your lung capacity is going to increase. I was kidding Pat tonight about that because I'm trying to get him to be able to hit it 5 times in a row. I've yet to get him to do that, so it was kind of a little experiment with his new device.
Well, no, I have a little trouble just hitting 1 right now, so...
Well, it'll come with time, and it's not a master of a race anyway. It's what satisfies your tobacco need to have something other than a cigarette in your hand, and it has worked tremendously for me. And there's tons of people vaping. I was listening. Dimitri is a guy that does a lot of reviews, and he was telling me today that he was in a place in Las Vegas for a wedding, and he was surprised to see how many vapor users there were versus cigarette users. Granted, if a place is deemed non-smoking, vaporing is usually the same. So if you can't smoke, you can't vape. However, a lot of people do it. So, it's sort of owner's discretion on whether you can or can't. But as a rule of thumb, if you can't smoke in a building, you can't vape in a building. You go to Home Depot and you run behind the counter or the aisles, take a vape, blow it out, and keep shopping. That's what I do anyway.
That's what I like at work.
Well, I do it at work too, but I'm not doing it where other employees can see me.
Right, exactly, yeah, because I just don't feel like I want to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people. I was watching a video on YouTube about this one chick talking about vaping in public, and she was like, more people need to do it to get the public used to it, because the more people who see you doing it are like, what is that guy doing? And then you could explain to the person who more or less calls you out on it, be like, I'm not smoking cigarettes. This is harmless water vapor. And you more or less kind of get the word out, which is pretty much what vaping needs, word of mouth.
Right, that's...
Exactly. And we're having right now, we're seeing our vaping getting attacked by the taxing people. For example, South Carolina's got a bill in the House. New York does too. And they're wanting to tax it like they do cigarettes. So basically, if you're buying in Florida, we're paying $7 a pack. I don't know what you pay in PA or...
it's around $7 depending on what you get. So
there's a tremendous amount of that is tax. Well, 2 things are happening. The tobacco companies rapidly losing business. They don't like that. And the state's losing revenue because they're not getting that tax. So you can see what we vapor community is going to be up against. We're going to be up against your state, and probably your federal will get involved at one point. I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to happen right off the bat, but I think down the road we're going to see probably a tax on the vapor. I don't care. My belief is it's healthier for me.
No, it definitely is. Well, I did a little research myself, and all the ingredients, whether it be what's in PG, which is propylene glycol, or vegetable glycerin, which is the VG variant, both of which are food grade, which means none of it sits in your lungs like you would think, because it's a water vapor, because it's technically not just water. You're not going to contract pneumonia from vaping. What happens is it absorbs into your lungs and then gets removed via urine or, number 2. It's literally a food product that you're inhaling, and it's just a delivery system for the nicotine, which is 1,000 times better than, let's say, the tar intake that does not
leave your lungs.
Yeah, it sits in there, and that's the cancer-causing agents. Not to mention the all of the carcinogens that you get from burning a leaf. And here's the most important part: the fact that you're not burning something, you're more or less evaporating with an e-cig. What happens in a cigarette is you are burning something, which means there's the creation of carbon monoxide. It's carbon or dioxide, one of the two. And that's another huge improvement over smoking traditional cigarettes and vaping. I love it. Like, I already feel better, and I know more is going to come. I remember being able to do things that you simply can't do now, like running continuously or singing. I know my singing has improved already. I can hit higher notes because I'm not killing my larynx and my voice box with smoke.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a phone. Well, just like you, I'm on the phone 90% of my day. And I've noticed that I don't start having a bad voice day just because I'm not smoking a cigarette.
Exactly.
I mean, I could tell a big difference in just that one spot, not to count all the other things that I feel much better from. And 90% of it is being smoke-free from a cigarette. And I'm not saying that vaping is 100% safe for you, but it is better. Yeah, I mean, I can tell it physically in my well-being.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was doing a little research myself. They said
okay.
The nicotine part itself, because the nicotine can still cause heart disease, but it's not as bad as if you're smoking a normal cigarette. So.
Listen,
exactly.
The reason why, though, is because just as caffeine does, nicotine constricts your blood vessels the same way caffeine does. If you take a drink of pop, you take one of the 5-hour energies, you do energy drinks, anything like that, nicotine is constricting your blood vessels in literally the same fashion that nicotine does when you inhale it. So that, honestly, if that's your biggest concern, then you have nothing to worry about when it comes to e-cigs. That's all I'm saying, because, I mean, they can attack this all they want, which I've already seen that, like I mentioned earlier about the people saying that, well, some of the stuff will just sit in your lungs. That is simply not true. I think that a lot of scrutinization is going to occur with e-cigs. They're going to find out that it is a much safer alternative, and that's where you're going to see a lot of the things come. They're going to change their focus from tobacco cigarettes into the e-juice, probably e-juice, not the devices themselves. Oh, yeah. And then you'll see an increase in price on that. But honestly, I'm spending less money. Well, kind of. I'm kind of addicted to these mods. I love buying new mods. But the juice itself, $10 for a 30 milliliter bottle, and that'll last you about, depending on your habits, about a month. I would say maybe 3 weeks. And that's way cheaper than buying a $7 pack of cigarettes every single day. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I told you the other day, I figured it up. I'm within 10 months, I'll be saving $2,400. So.
That's insane, dude.
Exactly. I mean, I've got money to buy mods with, and which I do because it's my hobby, so to speak, and money to spare because there is still money left over from. I mean, and I'm not spending a ton of money. Today I splurged. I spent $48 for a Pyrex tank. Yeah, I did buy something new today, but as a rule, I go weeks without spending any money on anything other than maybe some juice. So yeah, your money in your pocket is going to be tremendously growing faster than you spend it, more than likely.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And the thing about it is, think of the stage there. You're in a healthier situation. People around you are not having to smell you. You're going to smell them. And when a non-smoker does object to your smoking, truly, I can see why they do now that I can smell the ashtrays again.
Because I can't smell an ashtray at all. We
have to go out back to smoke at work, so I go out to back door, and right at the back door is where the smokers go, of course, you know. And I have to walk away from that area because their ashtrays are so bad.
Not to mention it's hot in Florida, so all that crap is cooking.
Right, and we do have a cool area. I mean, that we smoke in, or vape in, whichever the case may be. But yeah, it's definitely an improvement. So once you get over the nicotine craving, it is tremendously a better move for you. I mean, I can't express it enough. I mean, you're going to have more energy. You're going to sleep better. You're going to have food's going to taste better. You're going to smell things that you haven't smelled in your house for a while. So you're probably going to be cleaning a bit. That's the downside of it. But the plus side of it is just think of your health. I mean, that's the whole 9 yards right there. And it's definitely better for you.
Definitely.
It's got to be.
Well, we've talked about what vaping is and how you got into it, the reason I got into it, the reason Sean got into it, how much money you can save. Now, let's say we start vaping. What next? Like, how do we know what to do? I know I was clueless up until today when I talked to you.
Well, basically, what I do is, or what I did do, was I had someone tell me about it. And that's probably the biggest key right there. Someone passing on their knowledge to you. I've even passed on devices that I've grown out of. They were just sitting along. In fact, Pat and Cheryl were both one of them. I passed some on too. I've got another friend here in town that I shared some with. So basically, I've got 5 people now that I alone have passed on vaping to, and they're smoke-free today. That's the whole idea, I think, behind vaping. The more people, and you're right, the more people that see you do it, ask about it, you tell about, and then physically start doing it, are going to see a change in their life as well as passing it on to somebody else down the road.
I consider it saving a life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we don't know the long-term study yet. However, UK is ahead of us in vaping. Most of the out of the U.S. countries are. Take a Nokian, for example. That's a mod company. They're listening to the vapor person and what they want to see in a mod, and that's a great company. I mean, they're listening to what we want to see in a device. Not only that, they're putting out a good product. There's a lot of companies that are doing this. Our U.S. companies, though, don't seem to listen to us, the vapor, as much as the other companies that are ahead of our U.S. people. A lot of individuals that build their own devices, and they're there, are really helping us again in passing on things. So as we see this coming in more and more and more every day, we're going to see a lot more people vaping. You may not see it, but if you see me driving down the road, my device hangs around my neck, and 90% of the time you're probably going to see me at a red light vaping or wherever. And I'm at first I felt odd about it. Now it's a way of life. I vape instead of smoking.
That's absolutely right. I love it.
Do you ever get the craving to actually smoke a cigarette at all, or?
Well, I quit for 12 years. There was never a year that didn't pass that for some just out of the blue picture, like there would be morning, maybe I would get up and pour a cup of coffee and say, man, where's my cigarettes? And I had been quit for 6-7 years. You can't say that ever goes away. It doesn't.
Yeah.
But you have an alternative.
Yeah.
And so far, I've had a craving in 6 months, maybe twice, where I really thought I had to have a cigarette. Now, one other thing I've always done when I quit is I always keep a pack of cigarettes. They're unopened. They're in my car, but I know they're there. And it's a psychological thing, I'm sure, but yet it works for me. So you kind of have to find the balance on what works for you. And I will say this, and this is the most important factor of vaping. You need to find a juice that works for you. And if you go to a reputable vape shop, they're going to have what's called a juice bar, where you can put a tip on your tip, not necessarily your tip, their tip, but a clean tip, and put it on all these different flavors until you find a flavor that satisfies you, find a nicotine level that satisfies you. Not everybody is going to want 24 milligrams of nicotine. I've got friends that only use 12. Some don't use any. My bug man that sprays my house comes in the door. He's been quit 3 years. He vapes liquid flavoring only. He doesn't have any nicotine. I said, well, why do you do that? And he goes, well, I really enjoy vaping. And he says, I enjoy the flavor. He says, I enjoyed smoking. And he says, but I do vaping now. And he says, I'll never go back. But he says, I don't want to ever go away from it. He says, I enjoy it. So if you enjoy it and you're not using any nicotine, why not? So I know for a fact that he's been nicotine-free for 3 years. He's still walking around, still spraying bug spray, and I figure the bug spray is going to get him long before the vape does.
Right. Hang on just a second here. Pat, did we lose you, or?
No, I was asking for alcohol, and I didn't want the audiences to listen to hear that.
Well, they heard you ask for it anyway, so.
Rum. Now. Yeah, so that's awesome. I don't know. I think I kind of need the nicotine. I've had a couple of cravings. When I'm drinking, it's especially apparent that I need. But honestly, when I feel like I need a cigarette, all I do is vape. Done. I don't even think twice about it. And the longer I go, the less frequent those are. Now, I'm not going to lie. It was a kind of a difficult task for me starting out. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did. I will never go back. Now I can drink heavily and not smoke cigarettes.
Right.
Well, I don't think you should give up anything. Of course, an individual's got to deal with what they have to deal with.
That's true.
For example, I know people that tell me that they can no longer drink coffee because that's an instant craving for a cigarette. Well, you give up your coffee, you've got your vape, which is satisfying your cigarette need. I mean, if you can't do both, pick one that's got to be better for you. So you lose the caffeine, you still have your nicotine. So
exactly.
And in time, when that week passes that you've vaped, I grant you that coffee will come back in your life.
Oh, yeah. I was actually kind of the same way. Nothing's better than coffee and a cigarette. I don't care what anybody says.
Right? Or
nothing.
Alcohol in a cigarette.
Oh, well, okay. I stand corrected. In the very early morning, unless you're a raging alcoholic, nothing is better than coffee and a cigarette. I got a real nice honey tobacco, compliments of Vic, and that is perfect. Couple of drops, I vape that out, drink my coffee, and then I'm good to go. I refill my device with the chocolate hazelnut that is my special favorite right now for the whole day, and we're good to go.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm working off of, what was it you gave me earlier, watermelon?
It is watermelon.
I'm not a big fan of watermelon, but it doesn't taste too bad.
It'll get you by until your order comes in. What flavors did you order? I'm curious.
I have to look it up and actually see. Give me a second.
I have peanut butter cup coming.
I got that one. I know that.
What else I have? I forget now. Dang. I have to look mine up too. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm getting old and I forget all this stuff.
Well, Vic told me he's vaping Big Red. How's that taste? Does it taste like the gum? I have to know.
It does.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's, in fact, every vape is like a fresh piece of gum.
Nice.
I really like it. I like the cinnamon burst. It's actually called Cinnabon Burst, I think it is. It's like biting into a cinnamon roll for the first time. I'm not a really, really sweet vapor person, so I stay in the tobacco range more than I do the other. My favorite is to take the Blend 4, the Gorilla Juice, and add a couple of drops of the vanilla. It gives it a little flavor on the tobacco. But My weekend occasion is to take my Bubba's Bounty, which it's my favorite and the one I have the least of and can't buy. So I really use it now sparingly. I may treat myself once a month. I've got friends that come to the door wanting to fill their tank, and I have to say, I'm sorry, I don't have any. And I feel bad about it, but until Alien Visions opens back up, I am not giving my juice away.
That's awesome. That's so funny.
Well, Pat, to answer your question here, I got the Hypnotic Haze Storm, PB Cup Crash, Peanut Butter Cup Crash, Red Energy Shock, and Llama Lightning.
The Llama Lightning is probably going to be a bit strong for you. At first, you'll grow into it, but it will really take your nicotine away as far as a cigarette craving goes. So I always keep something like that on hand. If I have a craving that's not being satisfied by my present juice. I also am a fanatic. I probably shouldn't tell this, but I will. I have on my desk right now, there's 5 tanks laying with different juice in them. There's 4 batteries with tanks on them with different juice in them, ready to go. So if I'm sitting at my big desk, I am continually vaping something different each time. I only do that because I like to change in flavors. But right now I'm doing vanilla, Blend 4, and Gorilla. That is my favorite as far as everyday, all-day juice. I will have this if you come in my store anytime during the week. That will be in my tank as long as the supply lasts. And it's getting low.
I will say one thing about this. I remember it was how long ago? About 4 years ago. I got one of the actual e-cigs, and I paid $100 for the damn thing, and they're like, "Oh, this you'll never buy another pack of cigarettes again." And it was so cheaply made that I got so pissed off at it, and I broke it in half and had to go buy a pack of cigarettes because it pissed me off.
One of those small, like, blue e-cigs?
It was like that, but it was like the e-cig. I mean, like the blue. But like I said, I told the guy, I tried to get a refund. It was like a week later, and he's like, "No, you're just not using it right." And he's like, "Let me look at it." And I'm like, "No, dude, I already broke it in half and bought a pack of smokes. It's bullshit." So that's why I was kind of scared to try the vaping, because I was like, it's probably just gonna be like that, and it's gonna piss me off, and I'm gonna break something. So
It's much different. What it is those e-cigs have a little atomizer on it, which is like the filter part of a cigarette, and then the longer part is the battery. The battery does not hold enough juice to run the atomizer, so you're not getting a good enough vape. That's why you go with these mods. What I have is the Vamo 2. It takes 2 batteries. I'm getting a nice hit in a iClear 30 tank, which holds 30 milliliters of juice. 3, not 30. That would be enormous. 3 milliliter of juice, and it's fantastic. So basically, it's like an e-cig, but on steroids.
Well, here's what I do. When I started, I went in the shop and I told the guy, very, very nice shop, not the one I presently use, but I was new. I had no clue what I was doing. I just remembered some of the things the cable guy told me. So I went in there and I told him, I said, I want a device that has some power, that has a juice device on it that will not leak when I lay it down. I said, that's most important to me. And I said, I do not want a lot of maintenance. And so immediately they told me which row of devices, because they had them all lined up, I could pick from and how much it was going to cost. My initial investment for 2, I got 2, a charger, and a bottle of juice. I think it was right at $70 with tax. I went home and I started vaping. Well, I also started checking things out. I looked into other things, other avenues. My second device purchase was a Vamo 1, which rattled like crazy with the batteries. The buttons didn't click all the time. I'm not saying bad things about Vamo, because they have fixed it. The tank that I had was plastic. It discolored real quickly. It leaked. I would lay it on the desk, and man, I'd have juice after a while everywhere. That was 6 months ago. Things have changed so drastically. But if you're not getting a good vape, if you don't have the power, your juice is not what's satisfying your need, you're going to fail. That's why it's most important that you walk into a place. When I went in, the guy asked me how many cigarettes I smoked today, and I told him it would average between a pack, maybe a pack and a half, sometimes more if I'm sitting at the computer. And to think that the days that I play WoW, I'm a WoW player, by the way, and burned a pack of cigarettes. That's $7 I just threw away. I should have thrown the $7 in the ashtray and lit it. Because I didn't smoke 90% of them, but I did burn them up. Well, I tried different nicotine levels. I tried different tobacco flavors, and I found one. It was called, I think it was Old House. And it satisfied my needs right off the bat. I didn't crave a cigarette. If I did, I hit the device. 3 or 4 weeks or so later, I was upgrading devices. A month or so later, I was upgrading devices. I've been with what I have now, mod-wise, which is just the batteries and the device itself, pretty much now for 4.5 months. So I am stuck on the mod I use. I like my mod. I like the way it feels. I like the satisfying vape it gives me. And a vape, a true smoker is looking for 3 things: the taste, the satisfaction of the nicotine craving, and the throat hit. Whether you believe it or not, when you smoke a cigarette, you get a throat hit. If you don't get a throat hit off your device, you're probably not going to succeed. So, you're going to be looking for those 3 things in a puff that you take from your vapor. I get all 3. So, I'm satisfied. And that's where I want to stay. I do plan to reduce my nicotine level down the road, but we just had a serious holiday and we're hectic, and that was not the time to do it. Now, as I go forward, it's the time to step it down. You can go, next step will be 18. I've got friends that went to 18 and went back to 24. 1, because they didn't get a throat hit satisfying enough. 2, they were vaping more than what they were doing before. So, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter what nicotine level you use, as long as you're vaping. You're on a healthier step to healing yourself from smoking.
Great. I know myself, just to count the years, and I just thought about it the other day, I've been smoking for going on, 10 years.
Well, what was your savings for a year?
For a year, I'm looking about $3,000. So.
All right, multiply that time by the 10 that you've been smoking.
Yeah, it's $30,000 I've been spending there.
Look at your nest egg that you would have had.
Right, and that's what I mean when I told my wife about it the other day, because she was kind of leery about me buying all this stuff. She's like, "You're not gonna. I don't think you'll stick with it." And after I showed her how much I was saving, she's like, "Never mind. I know you're gonna stick with it because you're a stickler for money." And I was like, "Yes, I'm gonna have to stick with this because I cannot see myself in another 10 years spending $30,000. I could have brought a brand new car with all that money."
Sean, it is so easy. Now that you're doing it and you have the device in your hand, it's going to be so easy for you. Oh my God, I love it. It's awesome. You're welcome, by the way.
Oh, always. Thank you. My exact words.
Your wife smoke?
No, she doesn't. But she actually went and picked her up from work after I was done over at Pat's earlier, and she took a hit off of it, and she was like, "I like that," and I'm like, "Yeah, did I just get you addicted to this off of one hit?" And she's like, "Well, it tastes like watermelon, so it tastes good."
Well, it's amazing because I see people in the vape shop that come in and don't smoke, and they say, "I really want to do this because I like the taste." And you can buy no nicotine. Mm-hmm. You're vaping nothing but just flavored juice. I don't have a problem with that. I think, have a problem with kids that want to start vaping with nicotine when they don't smoke. What's the point in that?
Right.
I mean, to look cool is one thing, but to get a bad habit's another. But yeah, if you're vaping no nicotine level, I mean, that's great. I mean, if that's what you want to do, but if you don't smoke at all, then why start? But the vaping definitely is a step in the right direction for a healthier body. I mean, I can in 6 months I can tell you I've turned totally around. I don't have a sinus problem anymore. I can smell tremendously better. My voice doesn't wear out by the end of the day, and it's just it's been so much better for me, and I can't say that enough. I think, but I wouldn't go back to smoking as long as I can vape. I mean.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I kind of like this. I mean, it's like you said earlier, it's just something in your hand, and you're getting the nicotine from it. And
you'll have bad days, but you got to say, well, I've got my nicotine here, or go just treat yourself, whatever it takes. I mean, eat something. As the cable guy tells me, and we're really good friends now, he says, look at this beer gut I've got. I don't even drink.
Nice. Well,
now,
see, I work for Walmart, so every day is going to be a bad
really
day
weird.
for me.
The studies are showing that the nicotine decreases your weight, but I think you actually gain a little with it because you're not smoking, you're not, things are tasting better, so you're actually eating a newer variety of foods that you didn't eat before. But that's okay too. All that'll level out in time. Just continue to vape.
Well, yeah, that's what they say about if you quit smoking anyway, you're going to start gaining a lot more weight. So, which I don't need that, but like I said, with this, I probably will be doing the same as I do anyway. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm on day 1, so I'll talk talking after. Like,
tomorrow night, you'll be day 2. Just count it like that. I would ask Pat every day. I'd send me a text and I'd go, hey, how does it feel on day 8?
It's awesome.
Yep. And he goes, I will never smoke again.
Never. I will never smoke.
And then I said, I sent him a text one day. I said, wait till you can smell the other smokers. And he goes, they stink. And, I mean, I don't mean it bad, but for a smoker, if that's what they choose to do, that's what they choose to do. But they do stink.
Yeah. And that's what I'm waiting to see what my house is going to start smelling like. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be scrubbing walls here pretty soon. Here at my house.
Well, I live with a roommate that's non-smoker, and he told me that, well, the first 2 weeks after I quit smoking, he says, you can't ever smoke again in the house. And I said, why? And he says, well, the smell is finally going away.
Wow.
And I didn't smell it. And you don't smell it when you smoke. Or when you don't.
The only time I used to smell it is if I didn't smoke for a couple days. I could start smelling it around the house. But I'm waiting for this smell to come in.
It's going to take like a day or two, but it will. You're going to be like, oh, what the fuck is that? And you're just going to be like, okay, it's time to buy some bleach and just scrub because it is nasty. You're going to wash all your clothes. I'm telling you, dude, it's freaking awful.
Well, I hope I wash my clothes. I mean, I always wash my clothes.
Well, you're going to wash them twice.
Well, an example would be when you go out in a bar, for example, that's a smoking bar. You don't notice it, but wait till you go out in the bar after you've had 4 or 5 days of vaping, and you come home and you smell like the bar. And you do. You'll smell it on your clothes, and it comes from other smokers. So secondhand smoke is basically gone. That is totally out of the picture with vaping. So, I mean, you can call it secondhand vaping if you want, but mine dissipates so fast that, it's a vapor. It's not a smoke. And people get that misconception. They see something come out of you, and they go, well, he's smoking in a store. Well, it's not. It's a vape. It's vapor. and it dissipates. I mean, to nothing. So, you know, that's where we have to teach the world or other people what vaping's all about, and that's what we're trying to do.
Definitely. Well, not to interrupt or anything, it does look like we only have about 4 minutes and 20 seconds left here before it's going to tell us that we can't talk anymore. Before we do go, does anybody have any final words that they do want to say here?
Quit smoking and start vaping.
Right.
Exactly. And treat yourself to a new mod with all the money in your pocket.
Exactly. That's the best part. Bear, Vic, I know him as Bear, but thank you for coming on. I think we had a great show tonight. A lot of awesome information got put out there. So,
definitely.
Well, I'm sure I missed some topics, and I do tend to get on one subject and stay there. But if you got some questions, invite me back, and I'll try to cover them for you. We didn't even cover all the mods, and of course, to someone new in the world, it really is kind of hard to explain a lot of things, especially some of the advanced mods. But if you want to do a show on that, I'll try to cover as much as I can. I'm not the guru that a lot of people are out there that can give you better knowledge on it, but there's tremendous avenues on the net you can go check out. However, it's going to be clueless to you until you start vaping, and then you'll find these avenues as you start. I found them all the way down the road, and I'm still finding them. So it's not something that you're going to start tomorrow and think you know everything within a week. It's not going to happen. You just got to find a device that works for you, stick with it, and a juice that works for you and stick with it, and you'll have some success there.
Definitely. Well, everyone, thank you for listening. Again, this is the Weekly Offensive. Before we do go, I do want to go ahead and leave with these final words. It comes from Walt Disney. All of our dreams come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Everybody have a great night. I know we're going to have another show. Pat, when did I tell you? Friday night?
Yes, sir.
Friday night, and what you know his name better than I do. Who is it that we're going to have on Friday?
I don't know.
Well, then. Well, we'll figure it out Friday. There we go. All right.
I'm sorry, man. I'm drinking, buddy.
So am I, dude. Don't worry about it. Everybody have a great night. Vic, thank you very much for coming on and enlightening us with everything as far as vaporing. I've actually learned a lot just sitting here listening about everything here tonight.
It was my pleasure.
All right. Everybody have a great night. And signing off, this was the Weekly Offensive with Pat and Sean.